Welcome to Brick House. This is what I like to call the special Brick House Vacation Edition. Of course, I'm on vacation, but I had a few minutes just to get this film for you guys. No problem. I'm at the beach, which is one of my favorite places to go. So I figured since we were doing a beach theme, we'd take a little quick break from heroes and villains and have a little lesson that has to do with some water, some ocean, some storms, some things like that. So I hope you enjoy. We're going to start off today's lesson with a little game that lets you identify some things in the water. Check it out.
Hi friends! Today we're going to get up close, like really close, to some amazing sea creatures. I'll show you a close-up image of an animal that lives in the sea. As soon as you think you know what it is, shout out your answer. Are you ready? Let's go! What do you think this first image is? Time's up! What is it? If you said starfish, you're right. Now I wonder where SpongeBob's at. Here's the next one. What do you think this might be? Time's up. What is it? If you said pufferfish, you're right. Now don't go getting all puffed up. I wonder what this could be. Time's up. What is it? If you said jellyfish, you're right. Now if we could only find a peanut butter fish. Now what do you think this might be? Time's up. What is it? If you said sea turtle, you're right. Give me a high fin. Study this next one carefully. Shout it out if you know it. Time's up. What is it? If you said whale, you're right. Great job. That was a huge accomplishment. What do you think we're looking at here? Time's up. What is it? If you said shark, then everybody out of the water. Oh, and you're correct. Great job. I wonder what this could be. Time's up. What is it? If you said clownfish, you're right. I'm not even joking. You got it right. What do you think we're looking at here? Time's up. What is it? If you said seahorse, you're correct. Do you think seahorses can enter the Kentucky Derby? All right, this is our last one. Can you figure out what this is? Time's up. What is it? If you said stingray, you're right. Great job. It would have really stung to miss that last one. Well done. God sure did make some pretty amazing sea creatures, didn't he?
You all did fantastic recognizing some of those things. Now it's time to worship through song a little bit. In this next song, it talks about how we know God's always up to something good. And I know that's something that we tell you guys a lot. And sometimes when we're going through some struggles, it might be hard to remember that. Just this morning, we had an incident. We were only at the beach for a few seconds, and Lainey got stung by a jellyfish. And she's yelling and screaming. And one of the things she screamed was, "God, why'd you let this happen to me?" And that's a tough one. But this song is a reminder that, you know what? God is always up to something good. The good thing that came is we've been able to just come back and relax at the house during the recovery mode. And so no matter what's going on, remember, God's always up to something good. Our story today has to do with talks about when they're in some storms. The disciples get in a little storm situation. And so we'll check that out a little later. But enjoy this time of worship through song, and then we'll go straight into our story. Check them out.
When I'm in the roughest water, I won't go under, I won't drown. When I'm in over my head, I know that you won't let me down. When I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. Even through the deepest valley, you go before me, you are here. For I know you'll never leave me. Your love surrounds me, I won't fear. When I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You are always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. You are always able. Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You are always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way, whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm going to tell you a Bible story. You know, the Bible's a big book, but it can be broken up into two main parts. There's the Old Testament, full of stories about God and his relationship with the nation of Israel, and the New Testament, full of stories about Jesus and his followers. Today's story, the story of the water walker, is found in the New Testament, in the book of Matthew, chapter 14. So Jesus was out teaching a big group of people on the shore of a lake. And not only was he teaching this big group of people, he was also there with his disciples. His disciples were people who were following Jesus very closely. Wherever Jesus went, these 12 people also went. And one of the main ones was a guy named Peter. Before Peter became a disciple of Jesus, he had been a rough and tough fisherman. Peter was a tough dude, and he was a brave guy, but also a little bit reckless. But Peter loved following Jesus. As Jesus was finishing teaching the big crowd of people, he turned to his disciples and said, "Okay, guys, I want you to get in that boat over there and cross the lake, and I'll meet you on the other side when I'm done teaching and when I'm done praying to God." So the disciples, I'm sure they thought, well, how is Jesus going to get to the other side of the lake and meet us there? But we'll do what he says. So they went and got into the boat. And as they did, Jesus finished teaching the crowd. And the Bible said Jesus went up on a mountainside to pray. So the disciples, they get in the boat and they're crossing this big lake. And the Bible says as they're crossing the lake, it gets later and later and darker, and the winds pick up and the waves get big. It's a rough night out on the water. And they're crossing and crossing and crossing. And as they're crossing this big lake, overnight, I'm sure some of the guys are falling asleep in the boat and some of the guys are keeping an eye out to see what's going on. And the Bible says that in about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, super late or super early, before the sun has come up, the disciples are looking out from the boat as they get closer and closer to the shore. And they see something really strange. They see someone walking on top of the water towards the boat. A man is walking on the water towards the boat. Well, the guys in the boat are freaking out. What is going on? And they start to yell, "It's a ghost!" And then they hear this person who's walking on the water. They hear his voice, and they know this voice. This is the voice of Jesus. And they hear Jesus say, "Take courage. Don't be afraid. It's me. Take courage. Don't be afraid. It's me." And so as Jesus is walking towards the boat, Peter, he's watching Jesus walk on the water. Peter gets an idea and he thinks, I want to walk on the water. And Peter, being a tough, brave guy, he says to Jesus, "Jesus, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come out on the water." And Jesus goes, "Okay, come." So Peter climbs out of the boat and he puts one foot on the water and it stays on the water. And then he climbs out and pulls his other foot out, and both of his feet are on top of the water. And the Bible says that Jesus isn't the only one walking on the water. Now Peter is. And he's walking out towards Jesus on top of the water. And as he does, though, the winds pick up and the waves get bigger and the storm is coming in, and Peter starts to get afraid. And the more afraid he gets, the more he starts to sink down into the water. And just as Peter is about to fully go under the water, he yells out, "Lord, save me!" And sure enough, Jesus reaches down and grabs Peter's hand and pulls him up out of the water and pulls him into the boat, and the two of them get into the boat. And Peter, I can just picture him in the boat, freezing cold and soaking wet and sitting there. Oh. And Jesus says to him, "Peter, you have little faith. Why did you doubt me? Why did you doubt?" And the disciples, they saw something amazing. They saw Jesus walking on the water. They saw Jesus calling Peter out on the water. And it says the disciples worshiped. They told God how great he was and how amazing Jesus was. And they said, truly, you are the Son of God. Nobody else could do what you just did. And I think Peter was sitting there and thinking, why did I doubt? Why did I doubt? He was calling me out on the water. Why did I doubt? I love this Bible story because it reminds me that when God calls me to something, when God tells me something good for me to do, even if it gets a little scary and a little challenging, it's good for me to remember that he's the one who called me out. And I don't have to be afraid. I can take courage and I can trust in Jesus. I can put my trust in God. He will keep me up. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time for another Bible story.
So in our story today, we see that Peter had confidence at first, but then he got a little afraid or nervous or scared, and then he started to doubt. And it's important that what we learn from this story is, we should have courage. We should have confidence, knowing that God is with us, knowing that he's, even though, he lost his focus on God. Sometimes we lose our focus on God, but God is always there with us. I know that going through the time we're going through now, in a few weeks, some of us might be starting back to school. Some of y'all might even be a little nervous or a little scared or have some doubts about what's going to go on at school because it might look a little different. But I think we need to remember that God's in control. Just like Jesus was in control when he told Peter to come walk to him, he had full control of the situation, okay? And so let's stay focused on him during this season of life. We're going to end today with one more time of praise and worship, a favorite of y'all's. We're going to sing a little Waymaker. Y'all enjoy, and we'll see you next week.
You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you.